Well, hey crafty friends, it's Hiedi Scott with DiyDreaming, and on today's project we're going to make a little sign that I think is going to be, well, I know it's beautiful because it's almost going to be exactly the same as what my friend Cindy Parks did. Hers turned out fabulous. Anyway, so we're going to be using this new stencil that I absolutely love that says the only ghost welcome here is the Holy Ghost. I'm going to put this in our family room. And then I'm going to be using this. This started out as unfinished wood. It's like an arch. And I gave it, in preparation of today, I gave it 2 coats of plaster, which is my favorite Waverly paint color. This stuff comes from Walmart. And then I sanded it off pretty good. Because what I have found in the years I've been using stencils is that if your surface is not smooth, you can get some bleeding. I could also take this outside and give it a coat of clear matte sealer spray, but I'm not going to because we're going to stain the edge. And we're going to be fancy. I am using my jar of brown stain that has been hanging out in my cabinet for a very long time, and a sponge brush and probably some paper towels. So that's what we're going to be doing. I'm doing mine in black ink, and then my plan is to come up with some type of a little bow that involves some pieces of torn canvas duck cloth. So that's what we'll be doing. So let's start out with the stain to begin with. You can use any brown stain. No, can I get it open? You could also use brown wax if you like, or you could paint it brown, or you could leave it unfinished. I went ahead and painted the whole entire thing. So I am just going to dip my little sponge brush. You know what? I'm going to grab my apron because I just got home from Bible study and I have on a dress and I really don't want to get brown stain on it. I would be sad. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna just dip my sponge into some brown stain, and then I'm gonna tap it off a little bit, and we're gonna go around the edges. Got it pretty dry because I don't want it to run into the center. Okay, I'm going to try using a paper towel to just pull some of this excess stain off. Make it look more like a wood grain. Okay. So, and I have some other new stencils that I want to show you in just a moment. Let's get this part done here. You can also use a baby wipe. Have you ever done staining with a baby wipe? That works too. If I have some spots that are darker, I can come back after the fact and fix those. Okay, so let's do the bottom. See how nice that's looking? So what do you guys think about what this new stencil design says? Without getting political, it says the only ghost welcome in this house is the Holy Ghost. I think that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to say that this is good, and I will fiddle with it later. So, let me put my stain over here. And let's proceed to the next step, which is going to be this pretty design. I am going to fuzz it because it is brand new, but I wanted to show you a couple other designs. This is new, and it says, God is in her, she will not fail. I'm going to definitely make a t-shirt with that. And then this is another new design right here that says, howdy y'all, and then it has this bit that is a paisley, like a bandana print. And I have been fiddling around with this. I used some black ink and the bandana print on this little zip pouch yesterday. Just getting some ideas. And then this is new. This is called Mandela Sunflower. It's a fabulous design. So we'll use those in the days to come. How is everyone doing? I see lots of people hopping on. Okay, what am I doing right here? What is this green towel all about? It is called a tacky towel. And the point of it is just to make it so that the Magnolia stencils are just a smidge less sticky than normal, so that when you remove your design, your stencil, you don't pull up paint or stretch the stencil. That feels pretty smooth. However, it doesn't feel like I got all the dust off of it. Anyways, with the brand new stencil on a hard surface, I generally will use my tacky towel. And then you can use the inside part of it to pat your design smooth. Pat it dry after you've used it if you're wanting to use your stencil more than once in a row and you're impatient like me and you don't want to wait for it to dry. Then I'm going to put this bow that I'm going to show you in a minute that I'm fiddling around with right here. And I'll probably also do another round of stain on that. Okay, and I'm just using plain black chalk paste. Give it a little stir. Put some blobs on here. I know this is probably way too much. And I'm using a squeegee. So our kids are grown, and maybe your kids are grown too. We don't have any grandkids yet, so we're not to the phase of doing trick-or-treating or anything with grandkids. So I don't do a ton of Halloween decor, but I do love to decorate for fall. And I think this is pretty sweet. I love what it says. Okay. So this is what it looks like. Let's pull my stencil off. It looks great. I'm really glad that I sanded it, and sometimes when you paint a surface, oh, it's perfect. It can be a little bumpy, and if you don't sand that surface smooth, you can get areas where your stencil isn't fully adhered to it, and you can get some bleeding where the chalk paste goes through the holes in your stencil and bleeds out onto the surface a little bit. So it's pretty right now, honestly. I don't think there's anything that needs to happen to it, but my thought was to create a bow. Well, more of just like a crisscross kind of thing that I'll pile up with some stuff. This is canvas duck from a fabric store that has a black and cream design. And I can come back and trim this up later. And then I want your opinion. I'll probably make it much shorter. I'm trying to decide whether I wanted to use some raffia or some of these pulled strings from that burlap ribbon that is 6 inches wide that we make the pulled string flowers with, and I think I'm going to go with this. So I'm basically, this is why I hang on to these when I am doing the pulled string burlap flowers. I never throw away all the strings. So let's just do about this much right here. I can come back and trim that up nice. I'm going to put that in the center. And I know, oh, I got out a zip tie. And I'm just going to try that. And then I also got out my jar of black buttons to see if I could find something to put in the center. And to be completely honest with you, I probably will look at this overnight. I may take it apart and reassemble it before I come up with exactly what I want this little stacked bow to look like. I wish I had a smaller zip tie. And it'll probably all get cut much shorter. Let's just hold it up and see what we think. So this is kind of what I was imagining doing, and maybe adding some kind of a black button in the center. Let's see if I can get that to sit still. What do you guys think? Well, this was such a super easy project. What you would need if you want to do it is you need, this is a new surface from magnoliadiy.com. These, this stencil and this surface and the other stencils I showed you are available, or will be available tonight if you're watching live, on my fall collection page. And if you would like a link to the full list, just comment fall and I'll send that to you. So you would need this, this arched surface, this stencil, and then I used this paint, which is my favorite. It's Waverly from Walmart, and the color is Plaster. And then I used black chalk paste. I used a sanding block, one of these little gator things. I used some fabric, and then I used some of these little pulled strings when I made these burlap flowers. And that's it. So, do this or this. That's a heart. Sprinkle, sprinkle. Melanie says it's very pretty. It'll be pretty when I get it all dolled up and figured out exactly how I want it to look. But this is the gist of it. Minus my fingers. I'll probably prop it up on the fireplace or put it on one of my bookshelves. It's gonna go totally with my cream decor. And anyways, thank you, Cindy Parks, for doing yours because you totally inspired me. And her bow was different, and I think she may have put hers off to the side. Otherwise, very similar. Her whole idea was so beautiful. I asked her if it would be okay if I basically copied her. And she said, of course. She's a sweetheart. So anyways, have a wonderful rest of your day. Don't hesitate to ask questions. And I will see you guys again tomorrow.